Yo! What's up, everybody? It's Corey, host of the Grease Bowl Podcast, and wanted to welcome you in for a playoff edition, the division round of the performance tiers. These things don't stop just because the regular season's over, all right? As long as the Birds are playing games, we're going to do this. So, Giants came to the link, second time this year, third matchup of the season, and yeah, squad looked great. Beat the shit out of them, 38-7. Never really was a contest at all. Tone was set nice and early in this one, so you could kick back, relax, throw you a couple car bombs back, whatever your drink of choice is, and get the happy weirds and not the sad weirds, right? So let's go ahead and get into our tiers for the divisional round victory over the New York Giants. And if you want a reference point to the following tiers and why they are named, what they are, and the significance of each, click the link that you see above, and that will take you to the introduction of the performance tiers video. We start each and every week, as you know, with the Brian Dawkins tier, and loaded up this week, but we'll start with Jalen Hurts. And look, any doubts that QB1 may have still been less than 100% were completely erased by this effort here in this game. You saw Hurts hit Devontae Smith for 40 yards on the second play of the game, the next play to Goddard, and it was off to the races, right? You know, the Eagles got the ball first in this game immediately and set the tone on the opening drive and just never looked back here. You know, Jalen didn't wow in the box score, but he didn't need to either. 16-24 for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns with 9 carries for 34 yards and another touchdown rushing. But he had command of the offense as he did all year long, and, you know, neither Hurts or the entire offense. Nobody missed a beat. So, you know, a 28-0 lead at halftime, and by the time, you know, the game was over at the end of the night, the Eagles had more rushing yards than the Giants had total yards. You know, this was a blowout in every sense from the opening kickoff, and it was exactly what you would hope for across the board. And to see Jalen Hurts back to being his usual self. What about the offensive line? You know, the Birds were at their best in this game because they did what they do best, and they did it all goddamn game long. Dominate the line of scrimmage. Jason Kelsey, Landon Dickerson, Isaac Seumalo, Jordan Mailata, and Lane Johnson, everybody played lights out, keeping Jalen Hurts clean, paving the way for 268 yards rushing on the ground. And the Eagles' own line owned the Giants' defensive line, which the Giants viewed as their strength all night long. So when you take away what a team knows it does best in such an aggressive way, you've won the war, right? And you've taken away that team's heartbeat, and that's why teams that control the trenches tend to be the last one standing when it's all said and done. No exception here in this win over the Giants. Haason Reddick. Look, and the Eagles' strength in the trenches, it goes both ways, and nobody along the defensive line stood out more on Saturday night than Haason Reddick. It's a testament to the job Howie Roseman's done with this roster, considering the turnover that happened after winning Super Bowl 52. And it's an entirely different roster, essentially, from top to bottom, outside of a few veterans. And the acquisition of guys like Reddick are exactly why the Birds find themselves back in the NFC Championship. Any momentum the Giants hoped to have was shut down when Reddick beat the first rounder, Evan Neal, to sack Daniel Jones on the Giants' first possession. You know, then the next play, he runs through Giants center John Feliciano on a stunt, bringing Jones down again. So those 13 yards lost on those two plays made a statement. We're here to beat your ass. You're in our way, and we're going to have our way with you all night. And that's exactly what happened. Moving on to the Chris Long tier, our guy, Dallas Goedert. And I think it's high time that we adjust the Mount Rushmore of tight ends in the NFL. Get rid of Darren Waller, no disrespect. But, you know, Josh McDaniels' toxic ass is turning the Raiders back into a mess again anyway. So why not make it Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Mark Andrews, and Dallas Goedert, okay? 88 helped set the tone with a vicious stiff arm to Adoree Jackson on the third play of the game. And that punctuated the drive with the first touchdown of the game from Goddard, which was a nice one-handed grab and a run to the end zone. Goddard looked like one of the road warriors out there all night, just violent and tough to bring down. He ended the night with 5 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. But like we say, Box scores don't tell the whole story. Dallas Goedert was an absolute fucking tone setter in this game and a big reason why the Birds find themselves back in the NFC Championship. Yet again, Kenny Gainwell, Mr. Third Down. Gainwell had the game of his NFL career in this one, and he led the team in rushing with 112 of the 268 yards rushing. But it wasn't just the numbers, it was the timing, right? Gainwell converted multiple third and shorts for the Birds. He kept the chains moving, including a nice run deep into Giants territory to put the game on ice. James Bradbury. It didn't take Miss Cleo, right, to predict and to know that the former Giants corner was going to play this game with a massive chip on his shoulder. We said it in our preview of this matchup, and you knew it as well. It's always a little extra juice when you're going against your former team, especially when things don't end on great terms. And they obviously didn't between Bradbury and the Giants. So yet another key Howie Roseman offseason pickup that's played a huge role in the success the team's had this season. Defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon sent Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on a blitz, which forced Daniel Jones to rush a throw. Bradbury jumped the route and laid out with a nice dive to come up with the game's lone interception. So hats off to Darius Slay's tag team partner for coming up big against his former team. Nelson Aguilar tier. Reed Blankenship. And there were a couple things on the Giants' lone scoring drive of the game, but by that point, the Eagles were up by 4 scores and the game was essentially over. Early on, it was my guy Blankenship who kind of fucked up a little bit. Nothing major, but, the rookie undrafted free agent out of Middle Tennessee State, he slipped on a third down conversion to Richie James on New York's opening drive, gave up a chunk of yards to a dude named Lawrence Cager that got the Giants into Eagles territory on the very next play. And ultimately, look, plays happen, and these were inconsequential given the final score, but it was on the opening drive for the Giants, and it was only 7-0 at that point. So you can overcome that when you're facing a team like the Giants, but the margin for error against San Francisco isn't going to be nearly as big this coming Sunday. Chip Kelly tier. Worst of the worst, cheeks of the cheeks. Look, nobody. Vacant tier this week. And, as we just said, there was an occasional error. You're going to get that, but nothing glaring and nothing that was so egregious that it deserves a place in the Chip Kelly tier, which is reserved for the shit show of the week. There wasn't too much to get mad about in this game. So here we are. Next game, NFC Championship. San Francisco comes to Philly, and it's felt for a while like this was the collision course, right? Eagles-Niners in the NFC Championship game. We'll have our full matchup preview later in the week on our YouTube channel, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. It's a strength against strength between the Birds and Niners, as both teams are very, very strong in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and both Nick Sirianni and Kyle Shanahan have a plethora of weapons to utilize. Jalen Hurts, having just won his first playoff game, comes into this game as the quarterback with significantly more NFL experience than his counterpart, Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant in this year's past draft out of Iowa State. Yes, he's won 2 playoff games compared to Hurts, 1. But, you look at the experience Hurts has had, which outweighs that of Purdy. I don't see this game ending up 38-7 in favor of either team. A lot of people are thinking Dallas was an easier matchup. I tend to agree. I wanted to see Dallas not because of, difficulty, because this week would have been amazing. Eagles-Cowboys leading up to that NFC Championship game. But the Niners it is. And, it's starting to swing the pendulum back to, it feels a little bit like the public's on the Niners a little bit. You know what I mean? And look, the Eagles play their best when they're overlooked a little bit. I don't think anybody's overlooking them now. There's not the injuries and, backup quarterback in like there was in 2017 when Super Bowl 52 happened. But still, nonetheless, San Francisco's a hell of a squad that's coming into the link. So what are your thoughts on facing San Francisco over Dallas in the NFC Championship? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for plenty of Eagles content coming your way throughout the playoffs and as well as free agency as that approaches and the draft also. So, You can listen to the flagship, the mothership, the Grease Pole Podcast, each and every Monday, where new episodes can be found not only here, but on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Anywhere you can find us. We'll see you next time. As always, go Birds.